Rome's history is filled with bold leaders, but some names stand out, not just because they won battles, but because they shaped the future of the empire itself. In this video, we're going to look at 4 of the most influential military minds in Roman history: Julius Caesar, Pompey the Great, Scipio Africanus, and Emperor Trajan. Each of them commanded huge armies, made daring decisions, and left behind a legacy that still gets talked about today. But out of all of them, who was truly the most powerful? Let's start with one of the most well-known names in all of history: Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, the man who changed everything. Julius Caesar was born into an old but not especially powerful patrician family. He climbed the ranks quickly, using his connections, sharp mind, and relentless ambition to move up in Roman politics. But it was on the battlefield where Caesar really made his mark. His campaigns in Gaul were nothing short of legendary. Over the course of nearly 10 years, he conquered a region that stretched from modern-day France into Belgium and parts of Germany. He didn't just fight battles, he reshaped the map. One of his most impressive victories came at Alesia. Caesar was surrounded, outnumbered, and trapped between 2 enemy forces. But instead of retreating, he built 2 massive walls, one to keep the enemy inside, and another to keep reinforcements out. Against all odds, Caesar won. That battle made him not just a hero in Rome, it made him unstoppable. But Caesar didn't stop at military victory. After Gaul, he crossed the Rubicon River with his army, an illegal move that sparked a civil war. His main rival? Pompey the Great, another towering figure in Roman history. Eventually, Caesar defeated Pompey, took control of Rome, and was named dictator for life. But his rule didn't last long. Just a few years later, he was assassinated by senators who feared he'd become a king in everything but name. His influence didn't die with him. Caesar had laid the foundation for something new: the Roman Empire. Pompey the Great, Rome's master of the East. Long before Caesar's rise, Pompey was already famous. His nickname, Magnus, meaning the Great, wasn't just for show. He earned it through real victories, starting as a young commander during Rome's civil wars. Pompey's most impressive achievement might have been his campaign against pirates. At the time, piracy in the Mediterranean was out of control, threatening Rome's trade and food supply. The Senate gave Pompey extraordinary powers, and in just a few months, he completely shut it down. That alone would have made him a legend. But Pompey didn't stop there. He went east, defeated King Mithridates of Pontus, took control of Armenia, and even entered Jerusalem. In just a few years, he redrew the map of the eastern Mediterranean and brought huge new territories under Roman control. Politically, things got more complicated. Pompey teamed up with Caesar and Crassus in what's now known as the First Triumvirate, but the alliance fell apart. Eventually, Pompey and Caesar were at war. Despite having the Senate's support and a powerful army, Pompey was defeated at the Battle of Pharsalus and later killed in Egypt. His death marked the end of the Republic's last great hope, at least for those who feared Scipio Africanus, the man who beat Hannibal. Before Caesar and Pompey, there was another name that stood out: Scipio Africanus. He's most famous for doing what no one else could: defeating Hannibal, one of the greatest military minds in history. Hannibal had spent years tearing through Italy, defeating Roman army after Roman army. Morale was low, and many feared Rome couldn't survive. But Scipio had a plan. First, he took the fight to Spain, cutting off Carthage's resources. Then, in a bold move, he invaded North Africa, forcing Hannibal to return home. The two met at the Battle of Zama, where Scipio used clever tactics and superior cavalry to defeat Hannibal once and for all. This victory didn't just end the war, it secured Rome's dominance over the western Mediterranean. Scipio became a hero. He was intelligent, calm under pressure, and always thinking 2 steps ahead. Unlike some others, Scipio didn't use his fame to grab power. He stayed out of politics, eventually stepping away from public life altogether. But his legacy lived on, especially among later generals like Caesar, who studied his methods closely. Trajan, Rome at its peak. Fast forward about 200 years, and we come to Emperor Trajan. By this time, Rome had become an empire, and Trajan was one of its most respected emperors, and a highly skilled general. He's best remembered for his Dacian wars. The Dacians had been a thorn in Rome's side for years, but Trajan finally defeated them, bringing their territory and a huge supply of gold into the empire. This wealth helped fund public buildings, roads, and aqueducts. To this day, you can still see Trajan's column in Rome, which tells the story of those battles in carved stone. But Trajan didn't stop at Dacia. He launched a massive campaign against the Parthian Empire in the east. He captured several major cities, including the Parthian capital, and pushed Roman territory farther than it had ever gone before. Trajan wasn't just a conqueror, he was also a builder. He invested heavily in infrastructure and public welfare. Under his leadership, Rome reached the height of its power and territory. So who was the greatest? All four of these men left a huge mark on Roman history, but in different ways. If you're looking at raw military brilliance, Scipio Africanus might be the top choice. His defeat of Hannibal changed the course of Roman history. If you're thinking about conquest and empire building, it's hard to beat Trajan. He brought Rome to its greatest size and left behind a legacy of prosperity. Pompey was a master of organization and logistics. He didn't just win battles, he cleaned up the Mediterranean and brought lasting stability to the eastern provinces. He changed the game entirely. His victories in Gaul and the Civil War were massive. But even more than that, he changed the very structure of Rome. The Republic ended with him, and the empire began. So, who was the most powerful? It depends on what kind of power you're talking about. Tactical skill, political impact, territorial expansion. Each of these men shaped Rome in a different way. But one thing's for sure. Without them, the Roman Empire wouldn't have become what it did. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from history.